Doctor Who Inferno, the fourth story of the third Doctor, is written by Don Horton and starring John Pertwee, Caroline John, Nicholas Courtney and John Levine. Don is a friend of Terence Dicks and they both worked on Crossroads while on train, and they discussed on the idea to have a story based on a drilling project known as Project Mahole. Budgetary limitations eventually led to the concept of the parallel world, so the actors have got something to do for 7 parts. Douglas Camfield sadly had a little heart attack, so he only directed the first 2 parts and Barry Letts took over the rest. So the story begins with the Doctor driving Bessie, does this nice song of La Donna Immobile and drove into the restricted area. Professor Stallman was pretty annoyed when Sir Keith was interfering fixing the output pipe. As Harry Slocum was trying to fix the pipe, there was green goo touching him and it's turning green. Scary there. And speaking of scary, as he runs outside he attacks a scientist, so the Doctor arrives in Brigadier's office looking at photos while the young Brigadier is. And poor Brigadier, the Doctor commenting about his moustache, and even Sergeant Benton was laughing until Brigadier gave him a cold stare. That's hilarious. As everyone figures out how to fix those pipes, the Doctor arrives looking at results and meeting Sir Keith and Greg Sutton, saying that they should be heading the warnings of the computers. So after the Doctor asks the unit soldier about Slocum's whereabouts, he has a cool gadget resembling to Sonic Screwdriver called Door Handle, so him and Liz were trying to work the TARDIS console, so the Doctor disappeared with the console and he's in the limbo, and I love that scene, it's pretty effective. So Liz forced the lever down and the Doctor came back with the console. He seemed to be knackered after that. So the alarm sets off and the smoke comes through. There's Professor Stallman and Sir Keith arguing if it was emergency. As the Doctor and Brigadier arrived in the office, they found a body and there's Slocum, whose face completely grey, coming in. As they kept still, a unit soldier tried to shoot him but wrestled him. After Slocum died, they noticed a scourge and apparently it's the heat that keeps him going. So we get a cool scene where the Doctor went after a unit soldier who looks like he's turning into Hulk.
Now what? Listen to me. You need help.
As they ran on the balcony and Soldier tries to whack the Doctor, he falls off the balcony. Brigadier complains to Professor Stallman that 3 men died in the establishment. We get a funny scene where the Doctor does Venetian karate on Professor Stallman. The Brigadier's like, "Doctor, what do you think you're doing?"
I tell it! Doctor! What do you think you're doing?
Venusian karate.
So through this part, Professor Stallman thinks he knows what he's doing, fixing those pipes to prevent destroying the Earth's crust and wanting the Doctor to stay out of it. So the Doctor goes to fix the console again. Brigadier and Liz walks in and sees the Doctor disappeared, so he goes to tell Professor Stallman about it, but he's happy with it, and Brigadier is worried that the fact there's murders, Professor Stallman seemingly to blow up the Earth if he gets it wrong, and the Doctor disappeared. So the Doctor ended up in parallel Earth and he sees a lot of stuff have been moved, and a poster of the leader saying unity is strength. The poster of John Kine is a homage to a TV program called 1984. Sadly the door handle device didn't work on the door, so he did it the old-fashioned way, and outside looked pretty deserted. So the Doctor got into Bessie and there were soldiers shooting at him and he had no idea what was going on, so he gets chased. Apparently the stuntman Alan Chunds that gets hit by Bessie, he was seriously injured and got taken to A&E, and John Pertwee felt really bad when he found out he caused it. He was so ill and nearly couldn't continue filming until a few hours later. I'd be the same if I did that to poor stuntman. And of course accidents happen, so Pertwee brought some gifts to Alan and his wife to apologise, and obviously John is a nice bloke, I wish I met him. As the Doctor finds a place to hide, the Doctor climbs on the storage tank area and he has a fight with Bromley, who passed out because it's cold. So eventually the Doctor finds Liz in RSF uniform with different hairstyle and he's confused, and Liz points a gun at him and signals Sergeant Benton and the soldiers, so the Doctor gets taken to Brigadier, who's got no moustache but he's wearing an eye patch with scar like Nick Fury, who reveals to be brigade leader.
Brigadier, will you kindly tell me what on... Is this the man?
The Doctor realises he's in parallel Earth, and there's quite a few differences. There's brigade leader Lethbridge Stewart, section leader Elizabeth Shaw, and platoon underleader Benton. The Doctor tells them about parallel Earth, but they think the Doctor is mad. However, he gets taken to see Professor Stallman when he needed to see Sir Keith after sharing his knowledge about the drill and the people running it. Director Stallman reveals to have Green Hand. The Doctor is to be executed without trial, as they accused him of being a spy. It was Defence of the Republic Act 1943. Ooh, blimey.
You can't possibly have the authority to
I
do
have
anything
full
like...
authority, Defence of the Republic Act 1943.
Republic?
Yes.
As the Doctor is alone with Benton, he jabs his 2 fingers on his neck, so the Doctor went out and fixing the computer. But Director Stallman gave the Doctor's hiding place away, and Benton was about to shoot the Doctor.
Idiot, if I don't repair this computer, you'll be...
Are you coming with me quietly, or do I shoot you here and now?
So Elizabeth Shaw allowed the Doctor to fix the computer and helps them fixing the pipes. But sadly they're ungrateful, so in the office, as they keep questioning the Doctor asked Elizabeth Shaw if she was thinking of becoming a scientist.
I read physics at university. What's that got to do with it?
Simply that her mind process runs along a similar parallel to yours.
Greg seems to be the only one who knows the Doctor is trying to help. After the Doctor gets tortured by shining a lamp on his face and can't tell him the information that doesn't exist, he gets taken to the cage, and Elizabeth Shaw continues to question the Doctor again. John Pertwee is great as the 3rd Doctor. I always liked his Venetian karate, as they're pretty entertaining. Caroline John is great as Liz Shaw. In parallel version, I'm just going to call her Elizabeth Shaw to save the confusion. Unlike her other version, she's a secretary, a section leader, and evil at first, but then helps the Doctor getting back to his universe. Caroline John really enjoyed her role playing a villain, and she did a great job at this. Sadly, this is the last story we see Liz Shaw until the 5 Doctors, because Caroline was pregnant, which is why she gets replaced by Katie Manning as Jo Grant. Nicholas Courtney again is great as Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. In parallel universe, he's brigade leader Lethbridge Stewart, who's a villain, and Nicholas really enjoyed it, and it's his favourite story, which I can definitely see why. I always loved John Levine as Sergeant Benton. The one in parallel universe, unlike the one we know, is a platoon under leader Benton, and my god, he's so cruel and brutal, because the one we know is normally caring and funny. Christopher Benjamin played Sir Keith Gold, the executive director of the Inferno project, and the one in parallel died in a car accident. Christopher Benjamin later played Henry Gordon Jaco and Colonel Hugh. Olaf Pooley played Professor Eric Stallman, is a head scientist of the Inferno project. In parallel Earth, he's director Eric Stallman. Sheila Dunn played Petra Williams, who's Stallman's assistant. In parallel, she's Dr. Petra Williams, who's second in command of the Inferno project. Originally, Kate O'Mara was considered for the role, but she was unavailable and later played the Rani in the 80s. Derek Newalk, who played Zat in An Earthly Child in the story, played Greg Sutton, a drilling expert, and kept advising Professor Stallman, but the professor doesn't approve. In parallel universe, he's a drilling engineer and got locked up because of his liberation political beliefs and forced to work at Inferno project. The cast did so well with their roles, and you can tell they enjoy their parts they're given to. Primords are infected humans created by Professor Stallman's slime, and I thought they're pretty cool. And I think the story is well written and directed, and I love the stock music, especially the atmosphere of it. It fits in perfectly. So the real universe, the Brigadier told Liz that his men couldn't find the Doctor anywhere, but he says he can look after himself, whichever or whenever he is. But Liz points out that he's not indestructible. And with the drilling going on, Sir Keith said the Doctor is better off out of it. So in parallel universe, a Primord woke up, God came in to calm him down, but got attacked, the Doctor got himself free and makes a run for it. He grabs a white safety suit, joins people in those suits to be in disguise. As they're in central control, the brigade leader caught him using those controls. So the Doctor reveals to himself that he's trying to save everyone, but no one except Greg believed him, and the countdown led to cliffhanger.
3, 2, 1, 0. We have penetration 0.
So parts of the building get exploded, and the slime leaks, so everyone evacuated the room while the planet is exploding. The soldiers go outside patrolling around, and everyone argues a bit. the Doctor said that the TARDIS console is the only way it could help to stop the Earth getting destroyed. And as they're in the hut, Brigade Leader demanded the Doctor to take him, but he couldn't take anyone because of the paradox. And I love the scene where there's like army of Primords, there's great action and really suspense.
Break for your office. Benton, get out!
We also learn that in the real universe, Sir Keith has a car accident, but unlike his parallel version, he survived but got his arm broken. So after Primord tried to break in, the Doctor uses a fire extinguisher to stop it. So the whole group plans to get to the control and attack Primords. Obviously their weakness is cold, so they did. In normal universe, I love the bit where Brigadier shouted, giving Sergeant Benton orders to bring Professor Stallman. It's pretty amusing. And when he's like, carrying him if you have to.
Chance to use your initiative, Sergeant! Sir! Carry him here if you have to, but get him! Sir!
Back in parallel, while the Doctor is using control, Greg uses fire extinguisher to keep the Primords away. Benton gets infected. Brigade Leader plans to use the Doctor's TARDIS consoles, so at the hut we get an intense moment where Brigade Leader tried to stop him, but luckily Elizabeth shot Brigade Leader, so the Doctor along with his TARDIS console couldn't disappear at first but then disappeared, along with Bessie, while the lava is coming towards the door where Elizabeth Shaw, Dr. Petra Williams and George are. So the Doctor is back in his universe. Liz and Sergeant Benton came in to see if he was alright. So Benton brought Brigadier in the room as the Doctor is pretty ill and unconscious for quite some time. So he tells Liz to reverse all process. Professor Stallman orders Petra to pass on his instructions, so Liz orders everyone to do it. The Doctor woke up and revealed that Sir Keith isn't dead, and he noticed that he can make a difference in his universe. So he goes to Central Control and orders it to stop drilling, not to penetrate the Earth's crust, but he gets taken away after when he's tried to smash the computer. Professor Stallman turns out to be infected. After the Doctor outrun a couple of unit soldiers, he hides in the storage tank area and he finds Bromley infected. So the Doctor uses fire extinguisher on him, so they manage to stop the drilling and everyone's happy.
All systems closed.
So in the end, the Doctor argues with Brigadier and disappeared with his console, and Liz think the Doctor is gone because of Brigadier. The Doctor came back and left his console in the rubbish tip. A few seconds forward in space and time.
The rubbish tip?
The rubbish tip.
Oh dear.
So Brigadier tells his men to return the Doctor's console with Liz laughing. So that's Inferno, and this is a really fantastic story. I really enjoyed it. What did you think of Inferno and Season 7? Let me know in the comments down below. I think it's a brilliant season, great start for the third Doctor. The collection Season 7 gives us not only updated effects behind the sofas and surround sounds, it gives us restored episodes including colorized The Ambassadors of Death and movie-length omnibus versions of The Silurians and Inferno. It also features Splendid Chap, a profile of Nicholas Courtney, Looking for Mac, a documentary on writer Malcolm Hulke. Terror in the Suburbs explores the Third Doctor's Earthbound era. Lucky 13 Rockets, Alien and Spare Parts examines how 1970s science influenced the show, and Caroline John and Barry Letz's convention appearance in 1994. As always, thanks for watching and see you all in the next video.